All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the December 6, 2023 Grants Pass City Council meeting. Sorry for the delay. We have a couple people out sick. Vanessa and Rick. Vanessa Auger, Rick Riker, and Brian D. LaGrange are online. Brian's just going to be with us temporarily while we're waiting for Rob Pell to show up. But we're ready to get started. So I'm going to skip over the moment of silence tonight and move straight to the flag salute. Please rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so we have just 5 counselors with us tonight, but that's enough for a quorum, and we're going to get started with a public hearing for the Community Development Block Grant Program. And I think Mark and Ann, are you here to present for that? Ann is?
Can you, okay, just checking. Good evening, Ann Ingalls. I have 2 items tonight, CDBG items. Each one of them will have to be open to the public for public comment, and we'll go as quickly as we can here. The first item is the end-of-year report, the CAPER. Each year, HUD requires the city to produce a final report of that particular year's accomplishments and achievements, and the report is called the CAPER. The hearing tonight is to acknowledge the CAPER for program year 2022, year 3 of the 2020-2024 consolidated plan. As specified in the city's CDBG citizen participation plan, a public hearing is required to acknowledge the draft CAPER and be accepted by the council. It provides an opportunity, a final opportunity, for input from the public as well. It is in relationship to all the council goals. Year 3 of the city's second 5-year consolidated plan, we had some cancellations of some activities, Makerspace Innovation Hub, the Special Economic Development Program with Youth Pathways, and several past years of weatherization. The city reprogrammed those funds to active 2022 activities. Reallocation of the funds provided funds for public infrastructure for a low-income housing development by home bridging and Habitat for Humanity. Reallocation of those funds, we put into a new program, the Weatherization Rehabilitation Program, and with that we rehab 28 homes in the city. As in past years, Public Services always expended their little allotment early in their program year. Any remaining uncommitted funds from program year 2022 will be used during program year 2023, which we are in right now and started October 1. We had $375,906 in regular funding for program year 2022, and the expenditures from October 1 to September 30th, we had $452,522 for rehab of housing, and that it included prior year's funds. We had $126,190 for site acquisitions, and that includes reprogrammed funds. We had $72,607 for public facilities, $59,751 for public services, and general admin was $48,333 for a total of $759,403. The city and their partners made significant advances in achieving identified goals for program year 2022. 11 persons were saved from eviction or loss of utilities facilitated by UCAN. 424 youths were supported by the Boys and Girls Club, Hearts with a Mission, and Maslow Project all combined. 31 individuals were supported through Welcome Home Oregon, which helps those reentering the community from incarceration. 18 youths were supported with vocational training through 71.5 VOTEC. 170 persons received food from St. Vincent de Paul Mobile Kitchen, and 11 individuals were supported with the microenterprise technical expertise and training. Some of the challenges, as we've had in last year's, the 15% cap on public services is tight, loss of several programs due to economic instability and lingering effects of COVID-19, and then also having buildable land for development of housing, shelters, transitional housing. Call to action is tonight. After the presentation, it has to be open for final comments on the draft caper. And then the alternatives after that is to move to acknowledge and accept by resolution the CDBG Program 2022-2023 Year 3 caper.
Thank you, Ann. Council, do you have any questions? All right, no questions. This is a public hearing, so we'll open it up to the public. Is there anybody here who wanted to comment on this? Doug? State your name, let us know whether or not you live in the city.
Is it on? Yeah. Doug Walker, I live in Grants Pass, and I was part of an organization that received funding from the CDBG for a project on Hillcrest. It's a house for senior citizens. It was bought through a grant from Options with the Mid-Road Foundation, got a grant through Options to buy the house, and it's now, we use it for low-income senior citizens, and CDBG money was granted to us to renovate the bathrooms to make them more ADA accessible, and the same with the kitchen and a few other miscellaneous things throughout the house. So I just wanted to tell you what some of the money was used for. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else? Okay. We'll close the public hearing and turn it back to council. Discussion? Motion? Go ahead, DJ.
Sure. I move to acknowledge and accept by resolution the CDBG PY 2022-2023 Year 3 caper.
Seconded by Dwayne. Any discussion? All right, DJ, you made the motion to approve. How do you vote?
Yes.
Dwayne?
Yes.
Rob?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Vanessa?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0. Next up, similar topic.
I'm taking off. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Seal the slides on the side.
Yeah. Okay. This public hearing will be for changes and amendments that we had to do to the citizen participation plan, which CDBG requires us to have. It again meets all the relationship to council goals. As a CDBG entitlement community, the city is required by federal law to adopt and follow a citizen participation plan containing the policies and procedures for public involvement for use of CDBG funds. We did adopt a new CPP in June of 2015, as well as a new anti-displacement relocation policy to qualify for expenditure of certain funds, including CDBG funds. The city adopted revisions to that CPP in August of 2020 during the pandemic in order to include emergency disaster language regarding hearings and noticing. But recently it was brought to our attention by HUD that our criteria for the amendments to the consolidated plan and/or action plans was not clear and might lead to some confusion. So it's incumbent upon us to revise the CPP again regarding the criteria for the amendments. The city's 2020-2024 consolidated plan for expenditure of CDBG funds between October 1, 2020 and September 30th, 2024 provides an opportunity for us to revise and/or update the city's existing CPP and/or policy. The hearing tonight is just to review and adopt the revisions to the city's current CPP, addressing more clarity for substantial and minor amendments. As you can see, this is just a portion of the actual citizen participation plan, which you have a full copy in your packet. And this just spells out what we have changed for the amendments, for a substantial amendment and also for minor amendments. The call to action is tonight. Alternatives are, it has to be open to the public to make any public comment, and then just move to adopt the resolution to make the amendments to the CPP.
Thanks, Ann. Council, do you have any questions? No? Gotta keep checking my phone to see if anyone's raising their hand online. No questions. Is there anyone from the public who wanted to speak on this issue? All right, we'll close the public hearing and turn it back to you, Council. DJ.
I move to adopt by resolution the revisions to the city CPP.
Thank you. Seconded by Dwayne. Any discussion? All right. DJ, you made the motion. How do you vote?
Yes.
Dwayne?
Yes.
Rob?
Yes.
Vanessa?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 5-0. Next up on the agenda, we have another public hearing. This time I will open the public hearing to consider an application to annex the property located at 2496 Allen Creek Road, 36-06-25-DO, tax lot 2000, into the city limits, and also the public hearing to amend the zoning map for the property located at 2496 Allen Creek Road. We will begin the hearing with the staff report, followed by a presentation by the applicant, statements by persons in favor of the application, statements by persons in opposition to the application, and an opportunity for additional comments by the applicant and staff. After that has occurred, the public comment portion will be closed and the matter will be discussed and acted upon by the council. Is there anyone present who wishes to challenge the authority of the council to hear this matter? Do any councilors wish to abstain from participating in this hearing or declare a potential conflict of interest? Are there any councilors who wish to disclose discussions, contacts, or other ex parte information they have received prior to this meeting regarding the application? In this hearing, the decision of the council will be based upon specific criteria which are set forth in the development code. All testimony which apply in this case are noted in the staff report. If you would like a copy of the report, please write that on a note to the city manager and one will be provided. It is important to remember if you fail to raise an issue with enough detail to afford the council and the parties an opportunity to respond to the issue, you will not be able to appeal to the Land Use Board of Appeals based on that issue. The hearing will now proceed with a report from staff.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor. The item before you is an annexation and zone map amendment for a property located at 2496 Allen Creek Road. For the record, the project number 403 is 403-00106-23. That's for the annexation. And for the record, project number 401-00105-23 is for the zone map amendment. The applicant is Laziz Estates, LLC. And again, a summary of the request is that the applicant requests approval of annexation into city limits and a zone map amendment to change the subject parcel's underlying zone map designation from county R5 to city R2. And the relationship to Assembly Council goals is that this will facilitate sustainable, manageable growth by annexing property into the city limits to allow for a development of residential subdivision. There are two discrete actions that are requested before you tonight. Step one is the annexation. Under this annexation, it is owner-initiated as a request from Laziz Estates LLC, and pursuant to Oregon Statute 222-125, it does not require a vote, provided that it meets the 6 criteria. Step two, if the council supports the annexation, the land must be zoned to city zoning, and in this case, the applicant requests R2 zoning, and there are 7 criteria that needs to be met under this step. By way of background, this property is located at the northwest corner of Allen Creek Road and Denton Trail Road. It's approximately 1.4 acres, and there's an existing single-family home with detached garage and a couple of outbuildings. The property is located within the urban growth boundary, but just outside city limits. And surrounding land uses, primarily to the north, east, and west, are county RR5 zone rural residential properties, and to the south, existing single-family development zone, the R18. Again, the proposal is for an annexation, a zone map amendment, and in this case, the applicant intends to create 12 lots and build a mixture of single-family detached homes, a duplex, and townhomes. The criteria for annexation, and again, they're pursuant to our Development Code, Section 5.053, that the annexation the property must be located within the urban growth boundary and contiguous with existing city limits, which it is. It shall be developed consistent with city standards, consistent with the city's adopted comprehensive plan, development code, and ORS, state ORS. And the city has sufficient capacity to serve basic urban services such as water, sewer, and transportation, and public safety. In the response, the criteria, the parcel is located again in the UGB, and his proposal is consistent with all plans, codes, and statutes. There is a county intergovernmental agreement between the county and the city adopted in 2014 that allows for annexation outright for this property. And the city has adopted utility plans, namely sewer and water, that exist in Allen Creek. And this project will participate in the regional stormwater. And then assuming annexation and zoning, the future development will comply with local development standards. Moving on to the zone map amendment, on the left is the comprehensive plan land use designation, which is currently moderate density, or MR. And then under the moderate density land use designation, there are 2 allowed zoning districts, namely R16 and R2. The applicant proposes to change the zoning from RR5 to propose city zoning of R2, and R2 is obviously consistent with the comp plan land use designation of moderate density. Under the zone map amendment, there are 7 criteria, and the Planning Commission on October 5th found that this application met all 7 criteria. There are a few that staff will point out today. Namely, on number 3, adequate urban services. On Denton, the property or the project will provide half-street improvements, and there are, again, existing water and sewer along Allen Creek Road. This project will also participate in the regional stormwater facility, so therefore any on-site water detention or storm improvements are not required. And the property also has frontage along Allen Creek, and there is a capital improvement project for those street improvements and off-site improvements that this project will benefit from. The project also has to be consistent with the city's transportation system plan. As it's planned, Allen Creek will serve as an arterial, and Denton Trail will serve as a local street. The Allen Creek will have a capacity of 20,000 vehicles per day, and Denton Trail will have a capacity of 1,200 vehicles per day, and this will serve not only this project, but the surrounding land uses in the future. And then lastly, the criteria for timing, that the timing is appropriate for available services and needs for the zone. Again, Allen Creek, the CIP winding project is intended to begin in 2025. And this, with the approval of the annexation and zone map amendment, will allow for future development of future housing. Again, the call to action are two call to actions. One is the annexation, and that's the council's discretion. It must be based on 6 criteria as stated in Development Code, and staff's assessment is that the annexation does meet all 6 criteria. And a potential motion, example motion is before you. And the second potential action is the zone map amendment. And again, on October 25th, the UAPC recommended that the council approve the zone map amendment application for 2496 Allen Creek Road. And the potential motion is also provided in front of you. There is a 120-day deadline for the zone map amendment, and that's December 26th of this year. That concludes staff's report. I believe the applicant has a representative here as well. So,
Thank you, Mark. Any questions for Mark? No? Okay. And we have the applicant here to speak on behalf of this.
Good evening, Mayor and Council and staff. Justin Gerlitz, Gerlitz Engineering Consultants, here tonight on behalf of the applicant for the Laziz Estates Zone Map Amendment Annexation. Thanks, Mark, for the detailed presentation. I think this one's pretty straightforward, but I'll go through a little more information just to make sure everybody's clear on what we're proposing. As mentioned, it's located in the southwest side of town, just on the edge of the current developed city limits. It has a subdivision there. You can see that kind of butts up to Allen Creek Road, and that ties into New Hope Road, all part of the proposed urban growth boundary expansion area and the Allen Creek Road project. Right now, the project's on the left side of the image right here. As many of you are probably familiar, the road's blocked right now at this location. And then in 2025, the idea is it's going to go through. And this will be kind of the first logical expansion from the south side of the Allen Creek area. And I know right now we've already got some projects that are kind of creeping in on the north side. So it's good timing for this project. This is looking back to the south, project there on the right side, the big green field. This is Denton Trails. It's currently developed right now, which is considered a half street. It's more of a 2/3 of a street with utilities and improvements on one side. And comprehensive plan map has already been adopted for this area. It's medium density residential is the anticipated zoning, so the R2 zone that's proposed fits into that category. Most of this area, I think the goal is to kind of increase the density a little bit more than what's on the south side right now, which is that lower density zone, the R18. And so this is, we anticipate this whole area to kind of develop out as a mixture of R2 all the way up to R4 on the north side. Current zoning, as Mark mentioned, is RR5 throughout that whole area adjacent to the city, and we'll be changing that to R2. Utility-wise, the property has utilities on both sides. Water, sewer, it's going to have a stormwater system put in as part of the Allen Creek Road project, and as mentioned, they're going to do a regional stormwater facility out there, which is a really great idea. I'm really happy that the Public Works Department is doing that as part of the project. Why are we doing this? The applicant intends to develop it as a subdivision. Right now, it is a mixture of middle housing, attached type housing uses towards Allen Creek Road, the busier side, with some lower density in the back. Full intention of keeping the existing home and shop right there in the center of the property. So all in all, it works out really well. Yeah, they will be kind of participating. The city's going to be in doing those improvements at Allen Creek Road. So as this develops, we'll probably hold off on that east side up to where the anticipated road is going to be. And other than that, really, it's a series of sidewalk improvements and utility services when the project occurs. Oops. So outside of that, being that this is already in the urban growth boundary, being that the proposed zone fits the comprehensive plan zone designations, we feel it's a pretty straightforward application, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Council, do you have any questions? No questions.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Justin. Is there anyone else who wanted to speak on behalf of this application? Is there anyone who wants to speak in opposition of the application? All right, we'll close the public hearing, and staff, do you have any final comments? All right, we'll close the public hearing, turn it back to council for discussion. Dwayne?
I'll just say this fits in the council's goals, so I'm going to go ahead and have a potential, go ahead and put a motion in. I move to approve the annexation of tax lot 2000 of map number 360625 D0 and have it read by title first reading.
Seconded by Rob. Any discussion on the motion? All right. Dwayne, you made the motion to annex the lot. How do you vote?
Yes.
Rob?
Yes.
DJ?
Yes.
Vanessa?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0. Karen, please read.
An ordinance of the Council of the City of Grants Pass annexing the property located at 2496 Allen Creek Road into the city limits.
Thank you.
I move to approve the annexation of tax lot 2000 map number 360625 D0 and have it read by title only, second reading.
Thank you. Seconded by Rob. Discussion? All right. Dwayne, you made the motion. How do you vote?
Yes.
Rob?
Yes.
DJ?
Yes.
Vanessa?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
An ordinance of the Council of the City of Grants Pass annexing the property located at 2496 Allen Creek Road into the city limits.
Thank you. Dwayne?
I move to approve the zone map amendment of tax lot 2000 map number 360625 D0 to the R2 zoning district and have it read by title only, first reading.
Seconded by Rob. Any discussion on the motion? All right. Dwayne, you made the motion. How do you vote?
Yes.
Rob?
Yes.
DJ?
Yes.
Vanessa?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
An ordinance of the Council of the City of Grants Pass amending the zoning map property for properties located at 2496 Allen Creek Road.
Dwayne?
I move to approve the zone map amendment of tax lot 2000 of map number 360625 D0 to the R2 zoning district and have it read by title only, second reading.
Thank you. Seconded by Rob. Any discussion? Dwayne, you made the motion. How do you vote?
Yes.
Rob?
Yes.
DJ?
Yes.
Vanessa?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
An ordinance of the Council of the City of Grants Pass amending the zoning map for property located at 2496 Allen Creek Road.
All right. We have made it through to item E on the agenda, which is to consider an ordinance amending our development code. And that is Brad Clark coming up to present.
I think, Mayor, you have a legislative reading there.
Oh, yes. Do I need to read that again, huh?
Sorry. We didn't make the rules.
I know. We, nope, not the right one. Hang on a second. How about that? All right. At this time, we will open the public hearing to consider an ordinance amending the Development Code Article 7 regarding hearing bodies and review authority. We will begin the hearing with a staff report, followed by public comment, and then the matter will be discussed and acted upon by the council. Is there anyone present who wishes to challenge the authority of the City Council to hear this matter? Do any of the councilors wish to abstain from participating in this hearing or declare a potential conflict of interest? In this hearing, the decision of the City Council will be based upon specific criteria. All testimony and evidence must be directed toward those criteria. All the criteria which apply in this case are noted in the staff report. It's important to remember if you fail to raise an issue with enough detail to afford the council and the parties an opportunity to respond to the issue, you will not be able to appeal based on that issue. The hearing will now proceed with a report from staff.
Thank you. So this is a fairly big deal. If you were here in 1984, you might be a little surprised that we're having this meeting tonight because it's been that long since the city's ordinance has said that the Planning Commission is comprised of 4 people appointed by the city and 4 people appointed by the county. But as we'll go through here in the next few slides, it seems like it's probably a ripe time to change that. So that's what this proposal is tonight. Basically consideration of a change to Article 7, which is where in the Development Code it talks about the membership and the creation of the Urban Area Planning Commission. And it does relate to primarily the council goal to provide cooperative shared leadership involving council staff and community by removing these separate appointments to the UAPC by the Josephine Board of County Commissioners, which helps to ensure efficient and effectiveness in city operations. So it was Ordinance 4518 that originally established this, the current configuration that we have. If you're interested in a read sometime, it actually had a lot of other requirements in that code related to how the city and county staffs work together. For example, the agendas back then had to be created by both the city and the county, and you had to have both present at those meetings. The intent was really to provide representation for the unincorporated areas that are in the urban growth boundary. Over time, we have seen increasingly more land that's been zoned with a city zone. It's been annexed into the city. And we also have had a few changes in the statutes that have simplified and streamlined things. There's no county review as you did tonight. You annexed property and you zoned property that was in the urban growth boundary. The statute, both at the state level as well as county and city, don't require any longer that there be county involvement, since they already said, yes, this is in the urban growth boundary. You as the city have the authority to annex this if you so choose and if it follows the rules. Here's just a timeline. It's there for you to read. Basically kind of kicked off in January of this year in your strategic planning meeting when you talked about this idea. And then a series of steps happened. The city manager met with the county commissioners. They actually did make a formal motion in August supporting this. And then in October, the planning commission recommended approval. You're not probably going to be able to read this, but on page 97 of your packet is where the technical amendments to Article 7 are located. Essentially what it does is go through and strikes out all of the current sections that say there has to be 4 members of the Planning Commission appointed by the Board of County Commissioners. Since it is a code change, you have these 4 criteria that have to be met. Staff reviewed it, the Planning Commission reviewed it. We think that it does comply. And then the call to action is here. You have a recommendation for approval, and then here's a motion for you.
Thank you, Brad. Council, do you have any questions? No questions. Okay, we will open up the public hearing. Is there anyone who wanted to speak on behalf of this issue? Is there anyone who wants to speak in opposition? All right, we'll close the public hearing and turn it back to council for discussion. Rob?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion approving this.
Okay. So that was the motion, just to
I'll make
approve?
Sure. I move to approve application 405-00138-23, amending Article 7 of the Development Code, hearing bodies and review authority to remove the requirement for Josephine County appointments to the Urban Area Planning Commission.
Seconded by Dwayne. Any discussion on the motion? All right. Rob, you made the motion. How do you vote?
Yes.
DJ?
Yes.
Dwayne?
Yes.
Vanessa?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
An ordinance of the Council of the City of Grants Pass amending Development Code Article 7, Hearing Bodies and Review Authority to remove Josephine County appointments to the Urban Area Planning Commission.
DJ?
I move to approve application 405-00138-23, amending Article 7 of the Development Code, Hearing Bodies and Review Authority to remove the requirement for Josephine County appointments to the Urban Area Planning Commission. Read by title only, second reading.
Thank you. Seconded by Dwayne. Any discussion? DJ, you made the motion. How do you vote?
Yes.
Dwayne?
Yes.
Rob?
Yes.
Vanessa?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
An ordinance of the Council of the City of Grants Pass amending Development Code Article 7, Hearing Bodies and Review Authority to remove Josephine County appointments to the Urban Area Planning Commission.
All right, thank you. Next up, I will open the public hearing to consider an ordinance that would amend the Park and Recreation Master Plan and the Comprehensive Community Development Plan. We will begin the hearing with a staff report, followed by public comment, and then the matter will be discussed and acted upon by the council. Is there anyone present who wishes to challenge the authority of the City Council to hear this matter? Do any councilors wish to abstain from participating in this hearing or declare a potential conflict of interest? In this hearing, the decision of the council will be based upon specific criteria. All testimony and evidence must be directed toward those criteria. The criteria which apply in this case are noted in the staff report. It is important to remember if you fail to raise an issue with enough detail to afford the parties an opportunity to respond to the issue, you will not be able to appeal based on that issue. The hearing will now proceed with a report from staff.
Thank you, Mayor. So your comprehensive plan has a lot of elements in it. One of those elements relates to Parks and Rec. And since 2010, that element has said, refer to the master plan for all of the policies, guidelines, maps related to the park system. That's in the middle of your packet tonight, that's the big document that has all the colored photos and everything in it. So it was a plan adopted in 2010, it's a 20-year vision, 20-year strategy, so was intended to go through 2030. But there have been several changes, and the Parks Advisory Committee about a year and a half, 2 years ago, did say we think there's some things that really should be updated and we don't want to wait until 2030. So that's where we're at. The current updates really are a result of about 2 years of back and forth with the the Parks Committee, talking about some of the changes that they think would be needed to the master plan. It addresses limited topics. It is not intended as a full revision. That would presumably we would start undertaking that in 2029. With a full update in 2030 that has much more complete. A lot of public participation went into this first one in 2010, and we would expect that on the other one. The main participation this time was really the members of the Parks Advisory Committee. Their meetings were all public, and then the Planning Commission meeting and your meeting tonight. Parks Advisory, I think they created a new term, bin list. When they started working on this, they talked about, they all read through the plan. They said, well, what do we as a Parks Advisory Committee think should be changed? They selected 8 items. After going through them in more detail and after the CD staff kind of went through and made some other recommendations, we took out number 1, update park improvements listed in Table 9. As we started moving through that, there was going to be just a significant number of changes which really weren't necessary really until we do the full update in 2030. So that did not move forward, and neither did number 4, which is add the Greenway segment. Greenway segment is related to the multi-use pathway that you all probably aware of going through the Rogue River area. There is, as it would continue through Tom Pierce Park and then along the river. That's been in the plan for a long time. in terms of just a generic idea. They initially talked about adding that as a new project in the parks plan, but there was some parks members that felt that the timing really wasn't really quite right for that, for a number of reasons, which we can talk about if you'd like. The bottom 3 items there were added after that bin list was created by the Parks Advisory Committee. Maintenance funding and budget items in Table 10, and then system costs and cost for priority projects. Public hearing was held October 25th by the Planning Commission. They did vote unanimously to recommend approval of this to you. The comp plan has these criteria that have to be met before you change the plan. These are on page 121 of your packet. You have to be consistent with the comp plan. You have to see if any change in circumstances validates the need for these changes. There has to be applicable planning goals looked at by the state of Oregon. Citizen review and comment needs to be considered. And then the final one is a demonstration that any additional need for basic services is adequately covered by the city's utility plans. So all of those findings and criterion were looked at, and the Planning Commission found that they were satisfied. The Planning Commission also had a couple of other changes, and these are reflected in the document that's in your packet. Page 21, which is page 199 of your packet, this talks about the Forest Service property, which is over kind of near I Street. And that was listed under the federal government section of the plan. That is, as you well know, is no longer owned by the U.S. Forest Service. It's under private ownership. So that was recommended to be stricken. The second bullet there, which is page 54 on page 232 of your packet, does strike the first bullet talking about the River Vista House and Tussing Park and some improvements there. Those have actually been completed, so those would be taken out. Page 234, replace the photo of the U.S. Forest Service Supervisor's warehouse. Again, since that's not either federal, state, or local park or open space land any longer, they recommended replacing that with a photo that is, so that if you approve this tonight, then we would go through and add a new photo there. And then the last couple there, remove the River Road Reserve under regional parks, and that was one of the main things that triggered this, a few years ago when the City Council sold that property and is no longer under ownership of the city. This plan, when it was created, anticipated that 300 plus acres out there would become and be developed as city park land sometime in the future. Given the sale, all of those references to the River Road Reserve were taken out. Same thing with the Forest Service complex. I'm taking out that as a item that tracks all the acreages related to parks. So those are the additional updates. You don't need to make any special motion. Those are reflected in the document that's in your packet. We didn't receive any public comments on this application. And the call to action, there's really no cost implication other than the time and, to update the website, to get the document updated, things like that. You've got a couple of options there. You can approve it as proposed. This is completely legislative act. It's up to you how you want to proceed with it. You can approve it in part or deny, and then you got a recommended motion there.
Thanks, Brad. Rick has a question on the phone.
Thank you, Brad. Just wanted to confirm, you said the Parks Committee was hesitant about the Greenway segment, but that is, as stated in the document, that it would be included as a addition. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
That's correct. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? All right, we'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone who wanted to speak on this issue? All right, we will close the public hearing and turn it back to you, council, for discussion. Dwayne.
I move to approve the ordinance amending Grants Pass Park and Recreation Master Plan and Comprehensive Community Development Plan described in the staff report number 401-0010423 and have it read by title only, first reading.
Thank you. Seconded by Rob. Discussion on the motion? All right. Dwayne, you made the motion to approve. How do you vote?
Yes.
Rob?
Yes.
DJ?
Yes.
Vanessa?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
An ordinance of the Council of the City of Grants Pass amending the Grants Pass Parks and Recreation Master Plan and the Comprehensive Community Development Plan.
Thank you. Dwayne?
I move to approve the ordinance amending Grants Pass Park and Recreation Master Plan and Comprehensive Community Development Plan described in the staff report number 401-0010423 and have it read by title only, second reading.
Seconded by Rob. And Dwayne, you made the motion. How do you vote?
Yes.
Rob?
Yes.
DJ?
Yes.
Vanessa?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
An ordinance of the Council of the City of Grants Pass amending the Grants Pass Park and Recreation Master Plan and the Comprehensive Community Development Plan.
All right, next up, we have council action item A is to consider an ordinance amending Grants Pass Municipal Code Chapter 9.40 regarding reimbursement districts. And welcome back, Brad.
Last one for me tonight, I promise. Let's see. Okay. So the subject and summary on this one, consider approval of an ordinance amending Chapter 9.40 reimbursement districts. This council has seen a couple of times the creation of a reimbursement district. These are, essentially the tool and the mechanism that is used when either a private developer or the city installs new public infrastructure, and that public infrastructure is sized to a point where it can accommodate future growth, and some repayment of what the initial cost was for that installation of that infrastructure is built into these reimbursement districts. The current ordinance is the result of this series of changes that you see on the screen here. We first adopted this in 1979, Ordinance 4311, and then there's been occasional amendments. The last one was in 2017 to this ordinance. I did want to point out in 2008 is when we changed. They used to be called Advanced Financing Districts, AFDs, and in 2008 the name did change to Reimbursement District, kind of reflect a little bit more of what the tool is actually doing, reimbursing an initial property owner or city for installation of this infrastructure. So this is the chapter in Municipal Code that governs how these reimbursement districts are run. I wanted to throw this one in there just because I know that we've talked about them and they appear in staff reports, but this is a snapshot of some of the reimbursement districts in South Grant Pass, and this is only just a small portion. So everything that's green is active, the blue ones are expired, and then we have a couple of purple ones over here in the southeast that you can see just south of Fruitdale area that are closed. But there's a lot of property that's covered under reimbursement districts in the city, and we have them in the north, we have them in the southwest. There's quite a few over in the Hubbard, Leonard area. So point being that reimbursement districts cover a pretty sizable acreage within the city limits and the urban growth boundary. A couple of key definitions that we wanted to throw out there tonight. When we're talking about these districts, we're talking about public improvement, and it's a pretty broad term. We're talking about street improvements, water improvements, sewer, drainage, traffic signals, and actually it could include other types of improvements as well. So when that term appears in this ordinance, it's very broad. The other key definition I wanted to point out is intervening properties, and this is one of the proposed changes that's before you tonight. So this is an example of a reimbursement district off of Hubbard. There was a utility put in on Hubbard. Intervening properties in the current definition talks about any property that is, for example, in this green area. So the green area would be what would be considered the reimbursement district boundary. The current term intervening properties says that if you are connecting to a utility or a street that was constructed, then you're going to be subject to payment and repayment for a portion of that cost. What is a little bit unclear in the current code is these properties that you can see in this circle here on the west side of Hubbard. So these properties, and there's many of them that are actually not hooked up to city water today. They actually are served by water off of a private system. Jason can probably give more information on that, but it's not terribly relevant other than to say that this area falls in the green, but those properties are not hooked up. But if they extend water, let's say that private water system fails, or that well dries up or something, and they have to hook up to city water, because they're currently in the boundaries of the green area, they're going to be subject to payment. So this definition essentially changes so that these doesn't really talk about properties that front or abut infrastructure, but rather are defined by the creation of the district, which is entirely up to you. That is a city council call in terms of that boundary. We do use the formulates in the code to set that up, but at the end of the day, that's done through an ordinance that the council reviews and approves. So really quickly, here's a couple of the changes that we're talking about. That first red bullet there is really just a cleanup. Anywhere where it says city manager, we've added or their designee. CD staff has performed this task in terms of reimbursement districts for more than 15 years, so we just wanted to add some clarity there. The second red bullet, that's the intervening property that I mentioned. So this existing definition means that the real property abutting a public improvement or those properties benefiting from a traffic signal because they were within a specified distance of that signal. The last part of that is really become kind of moot. There's already a section later in the ordinance that talks about traffic signals, and they're covered. We only have one example of that right now in the city. We certainly could see more if a developer had a really large project and it required the installation of a traffic signal. We could still set up a reimbursement district to cover that. So by taking it out of this definition, it doesn't mean that we can't still use this tool. So the proposed definition trims it down a little bit, streamlines it, means any real property included within the boundaries of a reimbursement district, regardless of whether that property abuts a public improvement. And again, that kind of goes back to the example that I showed on that last map. This is actually your most recent reimbursement district, very tiny. It only involved 4 parcels out there off of Lawson Way and Woodbrook Drive. On the north end of town. Again, just an example of how these would be considered. You would set up the boundary, and then the calculations are done for every reimbursement district. And then another proposed amendment to this Article 9, imposition of reimbursement district has been revised to only be required to be paid at the time of a permit issuance. The code that we currently have says permit issuance or a development permit or a final plat. We have only had one instance that we can find where a final plat triggered it. Our practice has been to pay these fees when you come in for a building permit. So we're really just cleaning this up so that it aligns with current practice. there's not a lot of need to pay the fee if you're just creating the lots, because the demand really comes once you actually hook up. So this just cleans that up and says that's the time that you pay it. And there's no longer any clause that says you pay it when you do your final plat. And then this is just a really minor one. All these acreages in the center column there, they're not exactly the same numbers as what our current code is. So we're just having the far right column is matching what the current development code densities are. And we use those densities in residential reimbursement districts to determine exactly what the fee is going to be. And then finally, we have section 9.4.110 and calculation of reimbursement district. And this section E is brand new. And it says, in no event will each lot listed within the reimbursement district be required to pay more than the total number of calculated dwelling units used for creation of the district. We added that in there because historically, if you do a R18 subdivision, you just do your 7,000 square foot lots, you're going to have one house. Now with middle housing, there's a much increased chance of those lots also having an accessory dwelling unit, or maybe they come in with 2 lots, or maybe they come in with 2 buildings, or maybe 3 buildings. We don't know that. It's difficult to guess, so we're still going to keep the calculation at just assuming 1. So each tax lot is just going to be really clear now that they're just going to pay what that one lot would pay, not trying to guess, is that lot going to have 1 house or 2 houses or 3 houses in the future. And then here's the review team: city manager, city attorney, myself, and our business operations supervisor, Eric, worked on this. And then here's just kind of a summary of the things that I just talked about. Really no cost implications with this code change. And your call to action date is today, although that's completely at council discretion.
Thank you, Brad. Rick has a question.
Thank you, Brad. Can you go back to the map on Hubbard Lane, which is one of your first slides? That one there. So the area with the circle in there, I just need clarification there. If their private water system gives out and they need to hook to city water, what is the obligation of each individual parcel?
So if that situation happens and then they come in to the city and they pull a permit to hook up to city water, or first, of course, you'd have to install the service line throughout the streets. But what this particular reimbursement district is saying is, since these lots are within it, within the boundary of the reimbursement district, then they would be subject to payment of the per lot fee to help cover the cost of that line.
Okay, so I just wanted to confirm that they will contribute individually per lot to the existing water that's there once it's connected to city water.
Right.
That's what I heard you say.
Yeah, and this was just an example to kind of show you what an intervening property is. This isn't part of this action tonight. This was only intended to be an example of what an intervening property is. So your action tonight has no effect on this particular reimbursement district. If there was any changes or if there's any infrastructure put in, then that's going to be a completely separate process.
Right, I understand that. I just wanted to make sure that once a development like that wanted to become part of the city water system, that there would be some form of compensation. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
You bet.
Thank you. Any other questions? Rob?
So, two questions. So along the same line of what Rick just brought up, you said that a reimbursement district wouldn't have, you wouldn't figure more than one house per lot or whatever, and you would figure basically the total number of potential lots, and they all would pay, I guess, an equal amount. So if that, in that instance, if those lots never hooked up, does that mean that the person who put in the original infrastructure is not going to make back his total amount? Or?
That's correct.
So in other words, he'll be short that amount, or they'll be short that amount.
That's correct. It's a
Seems like a
15-year time frame on these private reimbursement districts. So and it does accrue interest, per year. So there's some increase there that they get, but you are correct. That's a risk that a developer takes.
So along the same, similar question, was I think on slide number 4, you just showed some expired districts, the blue were expired districts. What is that? So it's 15 years? So if someone doesn't get their money back in 15 years, they're essentially out the money?
Yeah, and there's also public reimbursement districts where the city actually did and those may have been fully paid. Aaron might have some more to add.
So these are great questions because they're something that comes up all the time. When you do a reimbursement district from a developer standpoint, you are trying to get credit for the investment you did. So you've run a line way past, you've passed these properties that are undeveloped, they haven't hooked up yet. You're creating a new development and you're paying for those costs based on your development. And you're hoping that at some point in time, if someone utilizes the investment you did, you would get some credit for that. So the developer would be getting credit. It's not like if they don't get that back, have they lost an investment? It's a credit based on the development that they put in. Does that make sense? There was just a difference there between credit versus investment that I wanted to clarify.
So it's a credit from the city, is what you're saying?
It's a credit from the people that are developing, that are hooking onto the infrastructure that they did. If I'm a developer and I wanted to make a 20 unit development, I'm making that development. I'm going to cover my costs associated with that development. And later on, if someone hooks in, they would have had to done what I did from a water and sewer line or whatever, and yet they didn't have to because I already did it. So I'm getting some credit because I already put that in there. But my investment's already covered based on my original development.
Additional questions? No? Okay. Thank you, Brad. Is there anyone from the public who wanted to speak on this issue? All right, we'll close public comment and turn it back to council for discussion. TJ.
I move to adopt the ordinance amending Grants Pass Municipal Code, Chapter 9.40, reimbursement districts, and have it read by title only, first reading.
Seconded by Dwayne. Discussion on the motion? All right, DJ, you made the motion. How do you vote?
Yes.
Dwayne?
Yes.
Rob?
Yes.
Vanessa?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
An ordinance of the Council of the City of Grants Pass amending Grants Pass Municipal Code Chapter 9.40 reimbursement districts.
Thank you. TJ?
I move to adopt the ordinance amending Grants Pass Municipal Code, Chapter 9.40, reimbursement districts, and have it read by title only, second reading.
Thank you. Seconded by Dwayne. Thank you. DJ, you made the motion. How do you vote?
Yes.
Dwayne?
Yes.
Rob?
Yes.
Vanessa?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 5-0.
An ordinance of the Council of the City of Grants Pass amending Grants Pass Municipal Code Chapter 9.40 reimbursement districts.
Thank you. It didn't occur to me when I looked at our agenda before the meeting that we would have to do everything tonight twice, so that little Groundhog Day effect. Do it again. All right, next up is our public comment. This is an opportunity for the public to address the council on items not related to a public hearing or a council action item. The intent is to provide information that is pertinent to the city's jurisdiction Each speaker will be given 3 minutes to address the council as one body, not to individuals. At the conclusion of public comment, council will have an opportunity to respond. The meeting will proceed in an effective and courteous manner. Citizens and council members will be allowed to state their positions in an atmosphere free from slander, threats, or other personal attacks. Signs or placards, outbursts of applause, or campaigning for public office or other disruptive behavior will not be tolerated. If you have a question regarding any government-provided service or a current city policy, please contact the city manager's office in an attempt to resolve the matter. And when you come forward, please state your name and let us know whether or not you live in the city limits. And when the yellow light goes off, you have 30 seconds remaining. And when the red light goes off, please wrap up very quickly. First up, David Dapper.
David Dapper, city resident. There's a lot off Spalding Avenue in the southeast part of town, away from neighborhoods and local businesses and whatnot, that would be perfect to allow the people to camp in. Not to make them camp in, I know you can't do that, and I know we can't tell them they have to do that, but if they had a place they could go and not have to move every 3 days, and the nonprofits could look after them all in one place, and it'd be easier to supervise them, they would go for it. It's just cause and effect. Can you imagine? It would draw them out of our downtown business area and out of our parks. Not all of them, but most of them would. And you said you have 13 or some of those tiny houses that the city bought. Let the nonprofits put them up and lease them to at-risk people out there in the parks. If the people in the local businesses downtown, we've walked and talked to them, if they didn't have to come to work and have people sleeping and going to the bathroom in their doorways, can you imagine what that would do for them and tourism in this city? It would, our beautiful parks, our downtown with all the cool shops, it would be rocking. So this would help everybody, and it would help the people that need the services too, and you could limit the nonprofits to give them that area and let them run it the way they see fit, within the law, of course. But this seems like a win-win. And they would follow the free stuff, it's proven. They follow them all around town from park to park, wherever they're giving out stuff, every weekly. And another thing, the law enforcement it would take to support it, we need public safety. And not just the homeowners and the renters, but the people from the county that come in the city, the tourism that comes into the city, they would all benefit from this. So let's spread the cost out among all these parties, not just the homeowners. And again, back to tourism, that would come back into the city coffers, and you'd have more money for investment on top of it. Can you imagine this city without zombies wandering around, yelling at the sky and the trees? And can you imagine, our parks without the same thing, without the guy with a sickle out there screaming at the sky and the trees we had the other Sunday? This is a win-win. And the Councilman Yonker and King already know what property this is. They could point it out to you. But let's get our city back. Thank you.
Thank you. Sandy Rourke. You're getting good at this, David.
Hi, my name is Sandy Rourke. I'm a resident of Grants Pass. Good evening, Mayor and Council and everyone else. At first, I want to start by thanking Grants Pass Police. I know you've been really, really busy, and there was a drug bust on November 14th. 24 people were arrested, 37 firearms seized, along with a large amount of narcotics. On November 9th, 108 grams of fentanyl and 3 grams of methamphetamines was seized, along with 7 guns and body armor. This really concerns me, especially knowing there are many police officers and firefighters that are leaving Josephine County to work in other counties. I have personally seen men and women who are residing in the park with weapons. There was a man with a large sickle. In Tussing Park, there was a woman with a mace weapon that she made herself and was swinging running at people and lecture's going to hit them because they didn't live in the park. There's people trying to visit the park. I have also seen swords, I've seen machetes, and I've also heard explosive devices going off in Tussing and also Reinhardt Park. So it's just, and that's very scary. I know there's more unhoused people and vagrant people that are coming to Grants Pass daily. On August 22nd, court records showed that there was up to 600 homeless people in Grants Pass. That was in August. I know many more people have come to Grants Pass since then. And November 21st, there was 2 more murders on Rio River Highway. And I've been told, and I've read things where people have told people are knocking on their doors at night, at 4:30 at night, 3 in the morning, knocking on their doors, and that's scary. And if someone is knocking on your door, don't answer it. Obviously, don't answer it. If you have a Ring camera, try to keep that footage of the person. Let's see, and there's been more things stolen off people's properties. Let's see, and there's a lot more things that I haven't heard about this going on in the city also. But the point I'm trying to get to is I don't feel safe in Grants Pass. Many people don't feel safe in Grants Pass. Grants Pass, as it is losing officers, and they're leaving Josephine County, and it's just, we need them. That concerns me. The police that are here are so overwhelmed, they have to triage the calls they get to receive, when the triage calls they receive, to see which one is a more detrimental threat. And that's scary because some people are being left unprotected. So knowing if someone could be, someone or something in danger could become hurt, police may not be able to get to them in time. That's scary. And if you have residents that are pushed against a fence and not knowing if the police are going to come, this can turn bad. They can turn really bad. And let's see, and also nonprofits. I've asked so many times, the police stop feeding the nonprofits in other parks. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wanted to speak during public comment tonight? Please step forward and state your name and let us know whether or not you live in the city.
My name is Stephen Eric Fitch. I'm an ex-business owner from Grants Pass. I traveled from Coos Bay, Oregon. I am that gentleman that disrupted your business yesterday, and I fully apologize to each and every one of you. That is not who I am or what I want. I know why your police officers are leaving, and I don't want to discuss this here. I want a chance to come back and discuss this calmly. I put some fear into some ladies, and that's not who I am either. 30 seconds, a minute. I think I was in your office yesterday. I'm shaking. 1 minute doesn't compare to 22 minutes of being chased down the freeway into another county. And that's one issue I want to address. And I want to, again, apologize to each and every one of you. My outburst is totally unprofessional and not who I am. Please invite me back. I'd like to finish this. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Catherine, Hamilton County. David, I think you said a lot of things that I would like to say, but he said it very calmly and not the way I traditionally stand up here. There's got to be some place you can put these folks. The other day, an Uber driver was telling us that he picked up a woman from one park and took her to another park, and it was an older lady, he felt in her 60s, and he said all she wanted was to have a night not around drug addicts. She wanted to feel safe. Now, the reason she's in the park, I don't know. But I feel that the whole 110 thing, it looks like 110's getting kind of iffy. If the injunction goes to the Supremes, if we get in the position to kick any of these people out of the parks, where are they going to go? They need somewhere to go. There's hopefully going to be the day drugs will be illegal again, and these people will have to go somewhere. It just boggles me. There's got to be an answer for it. There's got to be somewhere they can call their own. And you say, well, we don't have the finances to have anybody watching them. Well, you don't have a babysitter per se at the parks now. You have law enforcement that have to be stretched so thin. Possibly, hopefully, theoretically, if they had one place to go, then maybe law enforcement would only have to go there. I'm sorry, Chief, but it would be nice if the people that went there would be doing so willingly and would be a kinder, possibly a more decent, they wouldn't be the drug addicts. Because the drug addicts are going to be in the park and selling and doing all the icky things that they're doing. If they had if the handful of all, not handful, there's more than that, of people that need somewhere to go, the handicapped people, we see the walkers in front of the tents, the people that, the woman sleeping in the bathroom, maybe she was spun, I don't know, just trying to get some sleep. If they had somewhere to go, and maybe they would get out of Fruitdale Park or the other parks that are touching schools. Anyway, please, guys.
Anybody else? All right, we'll close public comment. Council, did anybody want to respond tonight? Dwayne?
I just say that someone said about law enforcement, whatever, I think we're working on public safety level of service. So I'm hoping that things are going well. We'll get to those fines. I asked a question before I came here, and it sounds like we have new officers that are on line to be hired at some point. And I think we closed our firefighting position was closed, is that right? Yep, so we are backfilling what we lost, and hopefully maybe we'll get a couple more here after we discuss. I would like to discuss on the 18th of maybe raising the level of service, hopefully. We'll see if we can get people on board, but I would say that that would help some of our situations. And I think there's a widespread wanting to do that from several counselors, even some counselors I don't agree on sometimes. I've talked to about that. So I'm hoping that will work, and maybe that rainbow pot of money will come for you, David, to get what you want. So that's all I got to say.
A couple of you mentioned the need for some alternative place for the homeless to go, and we are still working on that, some of us behind the scenes, but the City Council does not currently have funds allocated to available to spend on purchasing a property, but there are still community groups and myself and different people working on it, so hopefully we'll get a place for people to go sooner rather than later, and start moving some people out of the parks. That'd be great. How about emails, Karen?
So there were 10 emails regarding public safety funding, 1 regarding West Home Park homeless situation, 2 encouraging the city to have an urban campground and not a warming center, and 1 recommendation to adjust the city's financial policy for the general fund.
All right, next up, consent agenda. These are items of such a routine nature or without controversy that they may be approved with a single action. And DJ, are you interested in reading the consent agenda?
Sure. We'll do it with the change from this.
No.
Okay, consent agenda. Item A, resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract for the library and C&D Alley sanitary sewer replacement, project number SE6375. B, resolution amending the comprehensive fee schedule for annual cost of living index adjustments. C, resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with Motorola Solutions to purchase portable radios. D, motion acknowledging the receipt of the monthly investment report for October 2023. Item E, F, G, H, and I, motion approving minutes, City Council meeting, Committee on Public Art, Parks Advisory Committee, and Urban Area Planning Commission. And with that, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Thank you. Is there a second? Dwayne, thank you. DJ, how do you vote on the consent agenda?
Yes.
Dwayne?
Yes.
Rob? Vanessa?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
All right, consent agenda is approved, 5-0. Matters from council, do you have anything to bring up tonight? Dwayne?
I'm going to repeat what I just said a few minutes ago. My expectations for the 18th, that we'll have some discussion on level of service, so hopefully people come prepared for that. That's it.
All right, anybody else? Staff, anything? Nope. All right, no executive session tonight. How about a motion to adjourn? DJ?
I move to adjourn.
Seconded by Rob, thank you. All in favor of adjourning tonight, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, we're adjourned. Oh, David wanted to keep going. Have a good evening, everyone. Stay dry.